Hello and welcome everyone in another episode of Researcher Celebrity. Today we have Dr. Ravendra Singh Chauhan with us. A brief about Dr. Ravendra Singh. Dr. Ravendra has done his bachelor's, master's and PhD from Agra College. So now you know how much love he has for Agra. And then he joined as a PGT in a SB public school in Uttar. Following his teaching passion, he moved and joined Akash Institute at various locations in India. And presently, he's an assistant professor in Department of Botany in JNM PG College, Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh. With this brief introduction, I would like to welcome Dr. Ravendra Singh Chauhan. Dr. Ravendra, welcome at Empowering Science Foundation powered Researcher Celebrity.
Thank you, Raja. Thank you very much.
So normally, so we start the conversation with the first, our trademark question that how and when you decided that you want to be a researcher.
When I completed the PG in botany, at that time, when I was in final year in MSc botany, at that time, some seniors doing PhD in my department. So I look forward for the PhD and go for the PhD.
So before masters, you never thought that you really want to pursue a PhD?
Actually, I want to do something better in the education field.
Mm-hmm.
But as a gradually, I look forward in my education, first of all in BSc. So after BSc, there is some interest in my subject in botany.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a more interest in PG. When I come in the PG in MSc, mm-hmm. then the interest towards the botany is more.
Okay.
So I decided to do the PhD in botany.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
fortunately, I found the good guide in the cytogenetics department and the cytogenetical lab in Agra College, Agra, Dr. R.K. Sarabhai. And he was a great personality and he was a good, very good guide for me. And I can say that Dr. Sarabhai sir developed the research approaches within me. Dr. Sarabhai sir, this is total credit goes to the Dr. Sarabhai sir
mm-hmm.
for developing research approaches within me.
Okay. So as you mentioned about Dr. Sarabhai, he was the one who motivated you to do a PhD or following the research. At first, you liked the topic or the lab you wanted to join, or it was just that you want to pursue research?
Repeat, please, pardon.
What ignited your passion in research? Was that the title or the topic the lab was interested in, or you were interested in the mentor and joining his lab?
Actually, I was interested in the PhD program.
Mm-hmm.
And I can do the PhD in any branch of the botany.
Mm-hmm.
Because in MSc, there was the many fields in MSc botany, cell biology, cytogenetics, plant physiology, and microbiology also.
Mm-hmm.
So I can go with any branch, but Sarabhai sir, the nature of Sarabhai sir and their approaches toward the research was very good. So I go for with the Sarabhai sir with cytogenetical.
Okay. So when you thought and made up your mind that you really want to pursue PhD, how was the journey? If we talk about that, because at Researcher Celebrity, what we do is we celebrate research and we believe in breaking the barriers and give opportunity to researchers from across the field and at different stages of their careers. Now you joined as an assistant professor and now mostly you are into teaching. But at the time when you thought that you want to pursue a PhD, So how was that experience of PhD, if you can share?
I remember it was the year of 2008, and when Sarabhai sir confirmed me to accept me as a research scholar, and I think it was also the January or February, January of 2008. January of 2008. She confirmed me. I will. Sarabhai sir will accept me as a research scholar under his guidance. And I was very happy to. After that, I came back to my room at night about the 8 p.m. in a very winter season. At that time, I take a shower, and I very happy. I was very happy and go for the temple and devoted some prayers to the God. Thanks to God because I am going to be a research scholar under the Sarabhai sir. And after some time, I officially I registered in month of June 2008 because there is some limitations because the first vacant seat will be vacant, then I will enter officially. So Sarabhai sir confirmed me as a research scholar in January 2008, and officially I become the research scholar of Sarabhai sir in June 2008. And after that, she suggested me many topics for the research, and finally I have decided, and with the Sarabhai sir, the topic of research, the cytogenetical and morphological changes induced by some dyes on the plants Poaceae family, Penicillium typhoides, Sorghum vulgare, and Zea mays. And Sarabhai sir created me a very, very good research approach. She told me that whenever you conducted their experiments, so there will be a comparison. There should be a comparison. So they gave me a total 5 dyes, in which some of them are the synthetic dyes and some are the natural dyes, and the 3 plants. And there are many parameters. But at that time, when I was doing the research PhD work, research work, lab work, that it was the very hectic work because it is a very lot of work. 5 chemicals, 3 plants, and lot of parameters. It is very difficult. But now I am feeling very happy because at that time I did my research work, so I can prepare the many research papers, and I can also guide to the many students under my guidance in further years. So many research parameters.
Okay. So when this was like a more than 3 plants and 2 different comparison between natural as well as the synthetic ones. When you entered the lab with a frame set that you thought that you will complete PhD in a certain duration, and then it might have taken long or short, and how was the overall journey? What if there are incidences you want to share, or just journey as in whole? Because here we try to listen the journey of researchers. Okay, someone had a brilliant journey, someone had at times that they want to quit and they don't want to complete their PhD. So how was your journey?
When I entered in the PhD program, at that time, one of my senior, Dr. Khushbu Kushwaha, was completing his PhD thesis. So at that time, my PhD is going to start, and her PhD is going to be submitted in the thesis. Dr. Khushbu Kushwaha is going to submit their PhD thesis, and I am starting with the synopsis at that time. So there is many opportunities to learn to me. So I started help with I started to help Dr. Khushbu Kushwaha in their PhD thesis, in their writing works, and their many experience. I am helping to Khushbu Kushwaha, but I am learning very much with this. In laboratories, I have conducted many experiments, just like to growing the plants with the treated and the controlled. So I learned many things with my seniors and sirs.
Okay,
So
so while
I would like
learn,
to
yeah, please.
I would like to say some researchers who are going to enter in PhD program, they can learn many things from the seniors, and whenever they found difficulties in seniors, so difficulties in the PhD programs, the senior will definitely help you. So in the early time, when the research is going to start, then you can learn many things with your seniors.
And this is something which I would like to tell all our audience, that your PI, your mentor, is should not be the first line of interaction. If you face some issues with your experiments, the first person we go is the peers in the lab who had a bit more experience or a better understanding of the system or the process. So that's how we create a niche within among the students in the lab, or it can be interdisciplinary if your friends are out of your lab and they are working something on similar or using the same technique. So we discuss among all of us, and if we see that we are not able to troubleshoot something, that's when we go to the mentors, and that's how it should be, because that is easy. Most of the times it is, especially given the scenario in India, the PIs have so many responsibilities except mentoring, tutoring, and all of that. So it is a good way. So Dr. Chauhan, when you were facing any of the issues, either it is experimental or sometimes when your things are not good at home, so you bring some pressure and still your experiments are not working, adding on to the pressure, how that lab environment helped you to sort or streamline everything?
My lab environment was very good. Because Sarabhai sir is very good personality, and many research scholars under Sarabhai sir, my seniors and my colleagues were there. And we used to sometimes enjoy the very, sometimes doing a little small party within the lab, making India's lassi, samosa, etc. We enjoy with the work. Sometimes we use this little party to overcome the stress, overcome the work stress in the laboratory. And Dr. Sarabhai sir also joined this little party, small party, and we enjoy. First of all, we face the difficulty when I started my experiment in laboratory, and at that time I created my experiment. I put my experiment in two ways, in the laboratory as well as my home. First of all, I took one synthetic and one natural dye in laboratory, as well as controlled. Some seeds, I took some seeds of the first plant, the Panicetum, and equal number of seeds put in the controlled and treated plant with the natural and synthetic dye of even equal concentration, and observed. I used to observe during a particular time of 12 hours, 24 hours. I have to take the readings of my experiment after particular time, 12 hours, after 24 hours, after 48 hours, after 78 hours, and what is the reading. And I have checked the some germination. There is a start with the germination checkup. At the concentration of dyes is increased, and the germination of the seeds is also decreased. At the concentration increase, germination is also decreased.
Okay. So when you were doing your PhD, okay, with all the observation, because observation is the key for any researcher. Yeah. So when you said you were doing it at home and also in the lab, how was that? Like, is there an essential thing, or it was just because you were passionate, then you want to do something, or it was making the replicates?
No, because sometimes my residence is very far from my research, and I cannot used to go to take the reading in night at the laboratory in Agra College, Agra. So that is why. And I used to check my home experiment as well as lab experiment. We are both our experiments are going on the same line or not.
But when you change the parameters at home, like you kept everything same at home as well as in the lab?
Anyhow, I arrange some things to as like the same like the laboratory at my room. Some things that I have arranged at my room today, and at the next day, next day in morning, I go to laboratory and found that the reading of home experiment as well as the laboratory experiment is the same.
Okay, so this is very interesting. Here, I would like to tell all our viewers and the audience that we have seen researchers performing overnight or extended hours in lab, but taking the experiments to home, or because you don't want to miss even a single observation, this needs a different level of dedication for research, first thing. Secondly, people like Dr. Ravendra Chauhan are those few of them who make those eureka moments, who create those eureka moments because of their commitment towards the research. It is easy to do research at 8 to 5 job, because some of the researchers try to do that and they're very good with the time management. But one thing which cannot be achieved with that 9 to 5 moment is, if you are doing the kinetics study, you have to take the observations, the readings of your experiment over extended period of time. And that's when it takes, either you stay in lab and do all of that, or you can create the similar model at any of your places convenient to you. So Dr. Chauhan, here we do see people traveling in India from far apart from their labs. And this commute is a very much problematic in some cases, like if there is an adverse weather or if there is some other issues coming up. So how did you cope up with that? Because you already mentioned that you took some of the experiments to your home and you were doing it fine. But what were the observations about your peers in your group? Were they doing that, or how they were overcoming all of those?
Actually, my research plans were the family of poesy, and I started my work. When I started my work 2008, before that, my research guide, Dr. Sarabhai sir, told me told me about the topic and plans to be. I have to do experiments on which I have to be conducted. So at that time, the poesy family members, the crop is grown in the fields, like the Pensitum typhoides and sorghum vulgare and zea maize is growing at that time. It is the growing season in India at about the June. In India, whenever you will see Pensitum, sorghum, and maize is grown near about the June. Month of June or July, you will find very good crop of Pensitum, sorghum, and maize. So it was helpful me. It was very helpful. At that time, I took the sample of these plants.
Seems like there is some technical issue with Dr. Ravendra Chauhan's connection. And that is also one thing we always try to mention, that there are no restrictions, there are no boundaries or foundations until unless you really want to do something like that. Yes, so Dr. Ravendra Chauhan was telling us about how he managed to do the experiment in lab as well as at the home. So Dr. Chauhan.
Uh, yes, Raja. Uh, Sometimes I was unable to go laboratory. For that work, I also set up my experiment at home also. And some I have to take the readings of my experiment, the germination percentage of seed germination, and the root growth and the shoot ratio. I have to take the regular intervals reading 12 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, and 72 hours reading. So sometimes I was unable to go. I was unable to visit the laboratory during the night, or sometimes it was the holiday in my college. So that was I set up my experiment at home also. So next day I check my the home experiment reading, home setup reading with the laboratory readings. So sometimes they are about to same. They are about to almost same.
Okay.
So I have to take care my experiments both places, laboratory as well as home.
So even though it is like double of work, but you are not missing any data point or any time point where you are supposed to do all the observations.
Yes, actually, I want to check that what is going with my experiment, and I'm treating some plant seeds with the a certain dye, natural dye or synthetic dyes, and what is doing with this my experiments. So I don't want to miss that what is going with my research. That is why I set up my experiment at the two places, my home as well as in my laboratory.
Okay. So talking of what, so when your some of your friends might be working directly in university or in some well-funded research institutes, what significant change you have seen or the difference you have seen that when you were doing a PhD in a college which is supporting research, because most of the research in India is been done either in the premier institutes which are focused on research or in some of the limited universities. What are your thoughts about that?
Actually, my research area is not very expensive, and it is very so funding, and there is a limited research fees, and some college also provided is facilities to us as like the some chemicals and some dyes I've arranged at my own behalf from the local market, and I purchase the seeds or grown the seeds in college botanical garden as well as my home garden.
Mhm.
So it is not more expensive. So I manage anyhow both places. It is
Yeah.
not much expensive.
Mhm. But what we are trying to give a view to our budding researchers that even if there is not enough funding sometimes, because as in your case, you said you just bought some of the seeds or taken care of your experiments by yourself out of your pocket, which is not what we what we promote, but what we say is like at times you have to make a call that what is of more importance to you. You really want to go and travel that extra mile for your research by putting or investing your own money into that. It is absolutely up to you. So here for all the audiences what we say is like you have to make this choice before joining a PhD or before joining a lab for your research, that how well funded they are. But if you think that you really are constrained by different reasons, because some people don't want to move out of their city because of their family, some people want to work with a guide no matter whatever it is based on their understanding. So it is your call what you really want to do, as Dr. Chauhan has done for his PhD. So Dr. Chauhan, when with this limited resources, when you were performing your experiment, how about the cost of publications then?
Actually, during my research, I used to teach some students at my home also in morning hours and after the research hours, after uh, 6 or 7 p.m. I used to teach some students at my home. as you can say, I used to give some tuitions to the students at my home in early morning hours as well as in evening hours, and uh, that gives me some strength economically, financially. That gives me some strength to financially. And but if institutions, research institutions, give some funding to the research scholars, and it is very good for students, and they are free. They are free from the financial conditions. They are happy. They will be happy.
Yeah.
Because there will be no burden with finance. There will be
Absolutely.
no burden.
You said it correctly. And now, because it was back in 2008, over a decade has been passed. What are the changes you have seen in the system now when a PhD scholar is doing his research, either in your own college or your peers who are mentoring them now? What are the things which you think that now you are an assistant professor, you have this position which now you can enroll PhD students. What are the things which you have made in your mind that, okay, I will support my students in a way, or I will only take students if I have enough of funding? Your thoughts about that?
When I was in research at that time, the many students along with me, many students were facing many difficulties. So in future, whenever my when I will be a guide for some students as a research guide, then I would like to help some students. They will not find any difficulty with me. Uh, Nowadays, the research field is very broad. At that time, in India, research areas were limited. Now in India, nanoparticle research is and micromolecular level research is also being a broad parameter. So there at that before one decade, near about 2008, that there was a limited research field. Some in plant physiological limited research field, cytogenetical limited. So there was a limited research field. Nowadays, the research areas is elaborated, and many institutions as well CSIR laboratories, ICAR, and ICMR, many BSIP, Birbal Sahni Institute of Paleobotany, and many universities also giving the funding to the students. So it is very helpful. It is very helpful to the students who are going to do the research.
Absolutely. No, I think this is something what we have observed over 2 decades at least, that the funding, the opportunities for research in India have grown a lot. And what is been
Definitely.
seen that now the more students, because this brings more students, because they were interested in pursuing research, but because of the family, financial situations, they were not able to pursue it. But now with those opportunities supported by Government of India or philanthropists, it is bringing more and more students into this. Now, to all of our audience, as Dr. Chauhan has never stopped, or nothing has limited him from performing his experiments, because if he cannot travel, he'll bring the experiment at home and then do that, because that is a viable option for him. Now you will see in the video that there will be, first half will be on the laptop and the second half is in the mobile version, because even there he is not ready to stop because of the technical situations. He's like, this is what it makes you a passionate researcher, because PhD gives you whatever it takes for your lifetime. This training you can utilize anywhere, and that's what Dr. Chauhan is doing right now. Like, okay, if something is not working fine, I'll switch on and still make on the things, because this is the commitment a researcher has, not only for research, but for life also. Thank you, Dr. Chauhan, for doing this.
Definitely, Raja. life should not be, life is not never stop, life never stops, so research never should be stopped.
Mhm.
So this my conversation which is interrupted during the some technical issues. So but anyhow we completed this session, half part on the laptop and half part on the mobile. So net these things not should be stopped.
Yes. So speaking of which, now when you are mainly focused on your academic career, what were the reasons or the driving forces like which made you make this shift from hardcore researcher to teacher?
Actually, truly, when I completed my research in 2013, and after that, I started teaching for my financial conditions. And I used to teach, first of all, I started my teaching officially in 2012 after submitting my uh, PhD thesis at SB School, ETA. First
Mhm.
of all, I started teaching NCRT completely. After that, I completely start teaching with the reputed India Institute, Akash Institute, and the NEET coaching. And that
Mhm.
is the leading institute in India. And I found passion there because
Mhm.
there is a passion for some learning as well as monetary benefits also. So I learned many things during my teaching period, from 2012 or 13. From
Mhm.
2013, I started teaching with SB School,
Mhm.
and this journey was very good
Mhm.
with Akash Institute
Mhm.
because there was a lot of opportunity to learn me with the subject as well as many other things that were that faces the difficulty in my life.
Mhm.
Because first of all, Akash Institute posted me at a Dehradun branch, Rajpur Road. After
Mhm.
that, they used to transfer some teachers from one branch to another branch. So uh, I also transfer from the Dehradun to directly Rajasthan.
Mhm.
So uh, I learned how to manage things
Mhm.
from when you are shifting from their work position from one state to another state. Then how
Mhm.
are you managing their life? How are you managing their uh, livings, their arrange all things? How are you managing? So
Okay.
I learned many things. A subject I also learned subject, and I uh, found the monetary support from the Akash Institute very much. So
So
it
now,
was
when speaking of monetary benefits for a researcher, from Akash Institute to getting an assistant professorship in Lucknow,
yes,
when
because uh, a very long period I spent with Akash Institute, and it was very helpful to me to select as an assistant professor in UP government as at Lucknow because
Mhm.
from 2014 or 14-15 to last working with Akash, I many students I have many of my students selected in the government medical college as a MBBS students, and I used to clear their doubts. I used to anytime
Mhm.
some of my juniors also send me some doubts that sir, I have to teach this topic in morning hours, so please clear me this topic. So I used to
Mhm.
clear their doubts as well as some of my junior colleagues also as well as students.
Mhm.
I have faced many questions. I have read the Akash module many times.
Mhm.
That
Okay.
that was very beneficial. That was very beneficial to me
Mhm.
because most of questions in my uh, uh, assistant professor written examination was
Mhm.
exactly same from the Akash module.
Okay. So, do you miss the research?
Yes, definitely. I miss the research
Because what
because
we say is like once a researcher, always a researcher. So now, given the bandwidth, with the stability in professional life. Now you have the position. What are the plans to reinitiate the research and to explore the researcher in you?
In coming years, I will start another next journey of my research with my research students, and I will guide my research students and will uh, definitely work with very good research with to my research scholars in future. And definitely I would like to guide and not in a particular one direction. Cytogenetics is my core field, but I would like to guide my students in cytogenetics as well as nanoparticle as well as plant physiology. So there will be diversity field will be I would like to choose, but most favorite field is my cytogenetics. In future,
Absolutely. Yeah.
in future I would like to guide, I would like to create some research students. And today I am taking in today in this session I am taking the name of Dr. R.K. Sarabhai, who created the research approaches within me. So this thing I would like to create in my research scholars also.
Absolutely. No, that is commendable. And here I would like to tell all of our viewers and audience that I can recall the words of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, our president and one of the big, like, genius scientists we produced in India. He mentioned once that if a country is to be corruption free and become a nation of beautiful minds, I, quote unquote, his words, strongly feel there are three key societal members who can make a difference. They are the father, the mother, and the teacher. And all of us, with teachers like Dr. Ravendra Chauhan or Professor Sarabhai, with this gratitude, when you learn something and you want to give it to the coming generation, you have to pass it on. This is all of our responsibility to transfer what we have learned and to give back to the society what society has given to us. People like Dr. Chauhan are the role models, even suppressing every odd situation or overcoming all the adverse conditions, be it financial, be it physical, be it anything. If they are far from their lab, they bring the experiments to home, so that research must go on. There is no way they are ready to put a stop on it, but making priorities, as we say over and over again and again, that you have to prioritize your life. At some point of time, you have responsibilities, you have to earn money, you have to do the monetary duties of yourself towards the family or to yourself, which Dr. Chauhan has done fantastically till now. And now, once he made himself as an established one, got the position, now he's ready to explore his next journey as a researcher. So with this, we are coming toward the end of our conversation, and we would like to ask Dr. Chauhan that you already told us the future plans of yourself, how you are looking forward to starting Researcher 2.0 of Dr. Ravendra Singh Chauhan. Your suggestions and word of wisdom for our viewers, the budding researchers who are thinking to take research as their career.
Particularly in life science, there is a broad field of research. So, dear all researchers, go for it, go for with research, and enjoy this. And first of all, decide which type of research you want to do. And I used to say with my students that if you want to become a Sachin Tendulkar, then you have to be work like the Sachin Tendulkar.
Yes.
If you are if you want to become like a APJ Abdul Kalam, then you have to work like
Yes.
whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do, what you want to become.
then you have to work like that.
Absolutely.
If you want to become a good researcher, then you have to work like a good researcher.
Nice.
As the Raja said this, research must go on, never should we stop.
Yes. With this, we would like to thank Dr. Chauhan for sharing the journey and motivating our researchers, budding ones, who now can be, more interested, more passionate about it after listening to your conversation. And now the request to all the audience, if you want to write to Dr. Ravendra Chauhan, his details you can find on. If you want to write us at Empowering Science Foundation, we can put you in contact with all of our researcher celebrities, from where you can get the guidance, whatever you want. With this, thank you very much, Dr. Chauhan. And for audience, stay tuned for another episode of Researcher Celebrity. We'll see you all soon.